Jamie, thanks obviously for joining us today. How is things, mate? Obviously your missus is going to be, well, giving birth, I imagine, pretty soon. Is that right?
She's technically full term now, mate, so she can pop any minute. Due date's 22nd or 23rd of October. Yeah, mate, I'm buzzing. I'm right down to the wire as well, because I don't drive. I haven't had a driving license at all, because I moved away when I was 17. I took my theory in that, went to take my driving lesson test, moved away, and then it weren't worth me getting one. So I've come back, but now I've got my driving test next Thursday. So I'm praying I don't have to get a bloody Uber to the hospital. That'll be fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, well, all the very best for your driving test, anyway, Jamie.
Cheers.
Now, as we mentioned, mate, obviously you're about to become a father, which is the best feeling in the world. But also hoping to move into professional boxing. What's Camilla's thoughts on that, mate?
Oh, mate, she's gonna love it. She's gonna love getting the opportunity to watch me get slapped about, I reckon. To be honest, she boxed herself, didn't she? She boxed on the BBC for Sport Relief a while back.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And mate, and she, starting her first fight on a stage like that on national television, mate. But she's done really, really well, and she was great. She loves the sport. She, I say she loves it. I think she did enjoy it. Now she's getting sick of it through having to put up with so much of it with me. But yeah, she's all right, mate. She'll be there supporting. My mum jokes saying that they'll probably be sitting on the front row cheering for the other geezer. So,
how was that heavy bag, mate? So you've been hitting that bag pretty hard during lockdown. Is it still hanging, mate, or have you taken off the chains yet?
No, it's still there. And speaking of Camilla, that was a Christmas present from her last Christmas.
All right.
Oh, what a legend! Yeah, she got us there. I was well excited, and we moved into a new place. Mid-January, we'd just moved in this house and we had a garage, so I think she kind of twigged that and got me a bag to hang in a garage. And obviously lockdown happened, so that couldn't have been a better present, and that kept me ticking over. I gained a few kilos, although even though I was trying to keep them off on the bag, but probably the takeaways more into, you know.
I think we all did, mate. I think we all did over lockdown.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, Jamie, you know what? Obviously, we know your background with Love Island and reality TV. But I think it's fair to say, I mean, you're not just another celebrity boxer, so to speak. We know you've been sort of in and around boxing gyms since you were a young lad. Is that right?
Yeah, I first got taken into an amateur club when I was, I think, 9 or 10. I can't remember, that's my memory of it. But didn't stick to it for too long. Just being a young lad, sort of got a bit sidetracked by other stuff. And as soon as I left the house, I moved out when I was 16, 17. And just done it ever since for fitness. Went into a couple of amateur gyms, moved to New York when I was 17, trained with different trainers out there, went in different gyms. Always been around it, always been a huge fan of the sport as well. Got my 2 older brothers and my dad absolutely mad for it. It's like a real ritual. Anytime there's a fight with us, we all meet up, we all watch all the big bouts at my parents' house. It's just been a huge family, sort of family bonding sport for us and all. So, yeah, it's been in my life for a while. I've always doubled, and now I'm at final, getting 30 now, so it's now or never, so I'm going to give it a shot.
What was that experience like, Jamie? I mean, going to New York at 17, was it daunting, exciting, a bit of both? What was it for you, mate?
No, it was, do you know what? I hated that city for the first couple of years I was there, but I think that's because I'm sort of a homely lad. I'm really sort of family orientated. It was back then, at least. And I spent a lot of time away, got used to it, but I didn't like it at first. A bit homesick. But yeah, it's great fun. It was daunting. It was a bit scary, but I had a good job out there. I was well looked after. I had an agent at the time while I was modelling that was really, really good to us and sort of kept an eye on us. I think it was quite common in the modelling industry for people to travel at quite young ages. They usually get well looked after and sort of chaperoned and that. So, and then when I got used to the city, I enjoyed it a bit too much for a while and decided to come home.
Obviously, with the global pandemic, like we've just said, has happened. Were you going to go to the amateurs and then pros, Jim, or are you you diving straight into the pros now? What's the idea at the moment?
It's chopped and changed, to be honest. At the beginning, we were thinking about charity fights here and there. Then a few people that I bumped into, trainers and stuff, I got offered a pro contract by a promotional company. That idea sort of sat in my head once that, you know, people were telling me I had the potential for it and I should do it and give it a whirl. And the seed was sort of planted, and then over the years, well, I say for the year after that, it's just probably only about 6 months after I got out of Love Island, I had people saying that to me. And it is something that I've always wanted to do. I never saw it as a possibility, to be fair, but once that, you know, once I heard that a couple of times, I sort of got the bug and got the idea for it, and then we sat down with my trainer and a fellow that was going to manage me, and just chatted about it and went, best way is probably have a few amateur bouts, get the old nerves out of the way, because there's no substitute. It always reminds me of, like, there's no substitute between a bag and sparring. Like sparring, the massive difference, that's a huge gap. But even between sparring and fight night, no matter how much sparring you've had and how much experience you've had. So we thought a few behind closed doors amateur bouts on the small cards, and then make the announcement and have a few pro fights. But yeah, it's just built from there really. But I must say, recently I dislocated my shoulder last year, about a year and a half ago. And I've just had an MRI on it, and I've got 2 torn tendons and like a load of water build up around my subacromial bursa, it's called. So I've got a steroid injection in that. So there's just been a lot of little holds ups. There's obviously been, I broke a rib as well a couple of years back, so through sparring. There's been a lot of stop start. Now I'm 30, and now I'm sitting and just thinking, you know, I've got my amateur card at a club finally, raring to go, waiting for a date. And hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later, because you know, age is not on my side.
We spoke of, and you mentioned the modelling career and the modelling background. I mean, was it always you had to sort of pick one or the other? I mean, the face is looking pretty good at the moment, mate, but as we know, it can change when you're taking punches to the face. So, you know, what's sort of modelling agencies' feelings on that?
To be honest, it was a couple of occasions where I'd, you know, ended up with a black eye here and there, had to call things off like castings, and it just didn't work.
So despite, like you said, putting boxing on the back burner, James, were you still in the gym? Were you still going in the gym, keeping fit, or were you maybe keeping fit through other avenues?
Yeah, I was always keeping fit. I had to sort of stay slim and stay in shape for modelling. I always hit the punch bag. That was my favourite and has always been my favourite, like, way to stay in shape. Had a couple of different trainers, like I said, couple of, like, what do you call it, like runs with a few different trainers that used to pad me 2-3 times a week as well. So yeah, you know, I never stopped it. Always watched it and done it in the gym and that. So it was always there. Always kept myself up. But yeah, I used to do a lot more running and a lot more cardio and that back in the day to try and. So I was skinny, man. Surprising. I was only 81 or 82 kilos when I came off Love Island. I'm about 98, 99 now.
Yeah.
That's a lockdown, mate. That's what lockdown does too.
Yeah, and you know what as well, because as soon as that's when modelling stopped for me, and I've always been more comfortable, bigger, and I gain weight really quickly. I lose it quickly, in fairness, like luckily, but I gain it quickly, and I'm comfortable at a you know, a bigger weight. I feel better in myself, so I just sort of didn't really start watching my food, and I just sort of let my body set at wherever it was with the training, make sure I was training hard, and I kind of sat around 91, 92 before lockdown. So I think that's probably where I want to fight: 85, 90, 85 amateurs, 90, you know, cruiserweight in the pros.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier as well about sort of, you know, thinking about charity bouts and charity fights. I mean, does that come sort of under the white collar boxing category? Is that what you were sort of thinking of, mate?
It did, yeah. The first one we done, I did have one booked in, and then unfortunately a friend of mine I was sparring, and he cracked my rib.
Oh, nightmare, mate.
Yeah, it was a savage. So yeah, I called that off, and it was just after that we were going to get another one going, but then that's when all the conversation started, and we kind of veered away from it. So,
is it a way to is it a way to maybe dip the toes in the water, sort of thing? Do you think that's you know, a way to do it with the white collar boxing?
Yeah, it is. I guess it's just, I must say, even then, I found it quite hard to motivate myself for a white collar bout. I think, you know, with the amateurs and stuff, I find I take it a bit more seriously, and and I don't know why that is. I'm one of them people. I'm very last minute with things. I need to be really I need to have the pressure on, and I need to sort of to get myself in the zone. And I found that the amateurs sort of gave me that excitement. So yeah, I think, you know, that's why I sort of settled on that as well. It sort of excites me a bit more.
I tell you, Jamie, I don't know if you know this, but somebody on this Zoom tonight is actually 1-0 in a white collar boxing event. Key, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, mate. Jamie, mate, I can never live this down. It comes every single time we mention those white collar words. I'm retired now, Jamie. I am retired. Hang the gloves up, mate. 1-0.
Right, mate, undefeated retirement. That's it. It's a regular Floyd Mayweather.
Well,
when did you do that? A few years back.
When was this, Scott? Was it last year? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Just before
I think so.
Christmas
Back in the last year, yeah, in November time, I think.
That's right.
Sick, mate. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good, mate. Enjoyed it.
Three rounds of hell it was, Jane. It was like, what was it? Hagler Hearns won. It was like, I tell you what. So Jim, becoming a pro boxer, is it sort of like a bucket list sort of thing of yours? I know you're obviously going to take it very seriously, but I feel like it's always been something you've wanted to do. Is that right?
That's it. I'm going to take it very seriously, but it is a bucket list thing for me. I'm under no illusion that I'm up against it. I'm not expecting to go in there and there be any fireworks and me get a decent career out of it. I fully understand what it is that I'm sort of going into. I could get sparked by the first journeyman. That'd be a laugh. But you know, I just want to do it because I love it, and it's going to really be ticking that off my list. And it's just, you know, it's like having that one thing in my life in the back of my mind. And I think if I don't at least give it a go, whether it would have been white collar, amateur or pro, like I always built, you know, I've built myself in. I do sit there and think sometimes, fuck, I'm actually doing this now. You know, I've actually got to go through this. But because it sort of snowballed into that, but it's been there, and I have to address it. I have to give it a shot. And that's why. And I'm 100% raring to go because I'm laid back about it as well. I don't really feel nervous about it. I don't feel worried. I just want to give it a crack.
You said there, Jim, you said laid back about it, but I mean, what happens if you go in, you pick up 5 wins, you knock out 5 people? Do sort of dreams and aspirations start to grow with that then for you, mate?
100%. In my head, the way I'm set in my head, you know, I kind of, it may not sound like it from what I've just said, but like I said, I'm trying to be realistic with myself, but also be ambitious. In my head, I'm going to be gunning for a domestic title of some sort.
Yeah.
If I make that, over the moon. You know what I mean? That'd be amazing.
Well, like southern area sort of thing, Jim?
Something like that, southern area, yeah. Any, you know, that'd be amazing. And I love them shows as well. You watch some of these, like, you know, some of the domestic bust-ups for those titles are brilliant. And that'd be the dream for me. So that's like, you know, that's what I'm in there. That's what I'm training. That's what I'm thinking about. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So like I say, if I start doing well, then I'll just ride it. I'll ride the wave as long as, you know, as far as it goes. But I just don't want to be, you know, these people that come through, especially I'm going to have to gain a lot of respect. I understand that as well, because I'm going to be seen as, no matter how much history I've had in the sport, I'm always going to be seen as that little Love Islander that went on and boxed. Even Jack Fincham, he's turned over pro. He had a really good amateur career. I believe he was London champion. And he's turning over pro, and people are saying that about him, and it's just not the truth. You know, he was a boxer first. But with me, I haven't had a bout yet, but I have had it in my life. So it's going to be even harder for me to prove to people. So my first step is going to be take it dead seriously, get a good debut out of the way, and then see where it goes from there.
How good is Jack? Have you seen much of Jack, like sort of in the ring and sparring or anything?
Yes, mate. He trained in my gym down Amigos. He's moved on with Ben Davison now, isn't he?
That's right.
He's been trained by him. But yeah, very good. He's like, you can tell he's a good amateur as well. You know, you can tell that style straight away when you're well schooled in the amateurs. Very by the book and sharp, light on his feet. You know, fights at sort of, you know, bit of a distance fighter. He's great, yeah. He's really, really good to watch. I think he's going to be brilliant. So I'm excited to see his debut. I understand that. I know he said I think he had little bit the same thing as I did coming out of the show. It was very hard to sort of find that focus, stay out of trouble, and take it, you know, or at least give you 100% of your time to it. But I think he's done that now, and he's looking wicked. He's dropping the weight. It's going to be quality to see him in there.
Oh,
definitely, mate.
That, isn't it? Soon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's coming up. Look forward to that.
Are you living the life, James, of a box at the moment, or are you having the odd sneaky glass of red here and there?
I'm still having the odd glass of red. Until I get told that I've actually got a beer on me now. Until I get told that I've got a fight, I've just been told that amateurs ain't even going to happen this year now. That's the general consensus. So
now, is there a worry for you that they may try to sort of use your profile to put bums on seats when crowds are allowed to return? Or, I mean, is it just something that doesn't bother you because you just see, you know, it as part of the business?
You know what? No, it doesn't really worry me. It's kind of to be expected. I guess I'll just use it in my favour. Do you know what I mean? If I've got to understand my worth and what I will draw to the fight when I do, and be paid, hopefully, as a reflection of that. And as well, you know, it's like I'm going to have a limited career as it is because of everything we already spoke about. You know, like I said, I'm under no illusions that I'm going to go in there and win world titles and stuff like that. So, you know, if it's going to be 3-4 fights and I put some bums on seats and get paid decent out of them, and make a good account of myself, then that's fine by me. But yeah, I haven't really thought about the whole promoter side of it yet. It's sort of one step at a time at the moment, and have a conversation with them when it gets there. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It's funny because in my head, I don't really know how they're going to look at that. I don't know if they'll look at me, not take me seriously, and not want to do that. I know they get a lot of flack for, you know, if people do just see me as a celeb turned boxer, which like we've said, they probably will. Yeah. Maybe the promoters won't like that anymore. They've done the KSI Logan Paul, but they were YouTubers. They brought a huge audience, so they couldn't really turn that down. I'm not going to be bringing an audience of that sort of size. It's going to be fairly limited. So, you know, I don't know how they'll look at me. I don't know if they'll look at me like you know, that's why I'm trying to sort of go down the amateur route and do it properly, so I can, you know, hopefully
get a bit of integrity behind you, mate. Yeah.
Exactly, that's it. And get taken on for my ability rather than the ticket sales, or a combination of both would be ideal. So I hope they don't just look at me as a chump that they can make some money off, and I want them to respect my boxing and see me as a decent fighter. That would be first and foremost my plan.
Yeah, it's important, mate. Now, whenever we have any boxing chat, Jamie, I'm sure it's the same with you and mates, lads at the gym. We can't have a chat without asking and speaking about, obviously, the biggest fight in boxing we hope happens next year, AJ Fury. Can I get your thoughts on that? How would you see that one going?
It's funny, yeah, this always comes up. It has to, doesn't it? Because it is the most exciting. Everyone wants to see it. My thoughts on it, I'm a huge AJ fan. I just like what he's done for the sport. I really like him as sort of the front man, so to speak, of the heavyweight division as he was. I love, you know, I kind of find it. I wasn't the biggest fan of Fury pre-Klitschko.
Yeah.
And then this whole comeback of his and everything he's doing with it and his whole personality, I feel like he's just really come into himself and he's turned into a really, really likeable fella. Not that he wasn't already, it's just that I didn't watch him that much. I didn't really know a lot about him. So I'm a huge fan of Fury now. He's definitely come up there, and it's sort of like I don't really have a lot of favouritism between the two. So purely as a fight, I have to say I do think Fury's you've got to edge it to Fury from skill, speed, size. You know, his whole repertoire of of weaponry that he brings.
Yeah, his boxing IQ is something else, isn't it?
It is something else. And the thing I always think with Fury as well, his mental battle that he draws you into before you've even fought him. When you get in that ring, he kind of knows if he's beat you or not. And Joshua has shown that he can get rubbed up the wrong way. Look at him and Dillian White, and when he fights emotionally, he was terrible for a few rounds in that fight. He fought like a street fighter and didn't, you know, that was awful. So with all those things considered, if he gets in Joshua's head on that night and fucking brings those skills, I think he's gonna have an easy night. But
Yeah.
after Ruiz Joshua 2, after Joshua's recouped, regathered himself, came back, destroyed Ruiz from a boxing standpoint, outpointed him, completely overdone him, and he's come through that adversity and come back and shown he's got mental strength. I'm hoping that don't happen. What I'll always say, if Wilder landed on Fury, you better bet your bottom dollar that Joshua can, because Joshua is a better boxer. He's quicker. He may not have as much power, but he's a better boxer and he is quicker. So I would imagine he'd be able to land on Fury. So I'd give him a chance. I'd give him more of a chance than Wilder, but it all depends in that build-up. I think you'll get an edge to see if Fury's getting to him or not. I think if they fought 10 times, Fury would probably win 7 of them. But I think that's going to be a hell of an exciting one, because I'm definitely not writing Joshua off. I think that's why it's so exciting. I think Joshua is more of a threat to Fury than anybody he's faced so far. So
yeah, I've got to agree with you, mate.
Yeah. That was a long answer, that, wasn't it?
That's all right, mate. We don't mind that.
Jamie, I got to be honest, mate. That was well put. That was spot on.
James, what's your thoughts on Logan Paul, Mayweather, Pacquiao, McGregor? Are you one of these fans that are bang up for it, or do you think it's a little bit of a farce?
Listen, the funny thing is, if it's a farce or not, people will buy it and it will earn money and it will happen. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's the game is business, and you can't ever, one thing, it always cracks me up with boxing fans, how hardcore and fickle they are and so quick to discredit things and people trying, and Logan Paul and KSI, respect to them. They got in there, they put 10-ounce gloves on, they had a fight, they earned loads of money. Fantastic. But people are so quick to hate on things, but they will still buy the tickets. They'll still tune in, or they won't buy the tickets, but they'll still sit in there and don't tell anyone and get on YouTube and try and find it and watch it, because everyone will be interested in it. Do you know what I mean? It's just the reality of it. From a boxing standpoint, Mayweather versus Logan Paul, I don't think that is even a thing. I think it's a load of rubbish. I don't think that they're talking about that. Surely not. It's a hype job. It's a PR stunt. Pacquiao McGregor, I want to watch it. I don't think he's got a bat's chance in hell, but I want to see it happen. I love the Mayweather McGregor fight. It's not serious boxing. We all know that. It's not serious boxing. It's not going to be seriously competitive. But it has a certain allure to it. And it's that one thing in the back of your mind. What if McGregor won? That's always going to be there. It's going to be there for everyone. So you're going to be sitting there that night and you're going to be thinking it, and but either way, it's going to be entertaining. And then, McGregor's a big personality, so he's always fun to watch. So, I don't mind it. I think if it's got an attraction about it, if it's going to be good fun, if it's going to make good TV, which they always do. Apart from the Logan Paul KSI fight, that was a bit shit, but but yeah, mate. Yeah, I just don't see a problem with it. As long as no one gets hurt and it's done properly, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly, mate. Now, Jamie, just before you go, mate, there's something I got to ask you. I hope I've done my research right here. Am I right in saying that you were in the gym when Billy Joe Saunders and Kell Brook were sparring not long ago? You and Louis Edmondson? Am I right in saying that, mate?
No.
Oh, mate.
Me.
Oh, I thought it was you.
No. Yeah, no, I would have loved to have been. That would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That was my next question. I was going to say, how good is that, like?
Yeah, no, I've actually been invited to go up and train with Kel. So hopefully in the next few weeks, he's gone out to, is he in Fuerteventura or Spain somewhere?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
He
training
out there a lot,
at the moment. Yeah, but I mean, I got a little message from him asking when I'm coming up there, and I was like fangirling. I was like, "Mate, whenever, I'll be there." But so yeah, hopefully the next few weeks I'll go and watch him. He's looking good. He's looking trim, isn't he? I've always loved Kell Brook. He's a good fighter. So, but
he's a very good fighter.
Did you say him and Billy Joe Saunders were sparring each other? Is that what you
said? Yeah. I think, I mean, obviously, they've both been. I know Billy Joe is back with Mark Tibbs now, but they were in the Ingle gym together for a while, wasn't they? A good friendship's built up there, and I think they've done a lot of rounds together, sparring over the years. Like,
because I did see a picture of them together.
That's right, mate. Yeah.
I guess that was it then. Yeah. I must have commented. I think that was the picture I commented on. Then Message. That must have been it. I must have said something that made it look like I was there or something.
That must have been what it was, mate. Because I know obviously Louis Edmondson was there. He's managed by Billy Joe, and I just thought maybe he was sort of a mutual friend of yours, and you were both there, you know, doing a bit of training.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely that. I mean, that's a weird one because it's quite a difference in size there, isn't there? And Billy Joe looked quite heavy in that photo.
Yeah.
He did look really big, didn't he? He did look really big in that
But
photo.
I got to say, before this timer cuts us off, mate, we've got a minute left. I just want to say, Jane, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. And just before your debut, mate, we'll have to catch up again soon.
100%, boys. Thanks for having us on, and sorry about that technical difficulty.
That's all right.
No problem. Jamie, I just want to say as well, I wish you, Camilla, and the baby all the very best as well, mate.
Yeah,
thanks,
take
mate.
care, buddy.
Cheers for that. Appreciate
Take
it.
care.
See you, boys.
Catch up
Bye,
soon,
mate.
mate. Bye.